All right, guys. Today we are going to be reacting to Andrew Wilson upsets an older woman with biological facts. Let's jump in.
Clear the air, clarify things for the men out there listening who are constantly angry about women's standards.
Yeah, I think that there's some kind of... I think that some men get confused and they're taking it to the extreme. And they think that if a woman raises their standards that they're extremely high. And I think, like for me, I think my standards are reasonable.
What are your standards?
Just, I like a guy who takes care of his health. You know, he's fit or somewhat fit. Just has his shit together. Has goals, financially stable, and mentally mature, and has a relationship with God.
Okay.
Man of God.
And you haven't been able to find that?
Certain parts, yes. It's hard to find all of it, though, wrapped in one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said that you perhaps had a quarrel with women losing value as they age.
Yeah.
Women losing options as they age. And you wrote, men wanting younger women, not always true. Younger doesn't necessarily mean hotter. Our prime doesn't end strictly at 30.
Yeah, I think you can extend it a little bit past 30. It's not like 33-year-olds and a 30-year-old are wildly different in looks. I mean, I always pretty much look the same. I think it does matter how you take care of yourself. I would say if you gained like 30 pounds or something like that at 33, yeah, you're going to look a little worse. But overall, age pretty slowly as long as you take care of yourself.
But I'm a bit so... And remind me, your question to the looks or the aging question.
Yeah.
You said you're 42?
40.
Or 40. You said better looking at 50 or no?
No.
And then, but you said 30 was your prime area.
25 to like 37, I think was pretty solid. Yeah,
okay.
Pretty similar.
And do you feel like your options,
dwindle?
Your options have increased as you've gotten older?
I think it's pretty much been the same.
Been the same.
Yeah.
No changes. Like, did men do more shit for you when you were 20 versus now at 40?
I think I tolerated things I shouldn't have, and I think that just has to do with like my previous standards and just the things I tolerated.
Okay.
So.
And you said men wanting younger women, not always true. I mean, I don't disagree. There are men who...
There's a lot of younger men that date older women. I hear about it a lot. And they're in relationships with them too. I've seen it. I mean, my ex-boyfriend was 25 when I was 37.
Yeah, I don't dispute that it happens. But do you think, generally speaking, typically, you think would you agree that men tend to prefer younger women?
Yeah, generally, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know if there's much dispute there. Younger doesn't necessarily mean hotter.
Yeah. I think it depends. Like I said, it depends on how you take care of yourself. Just because... Can
I ask you a question, though?
Yeah.
Like, when it comes to, like, the biological reality of having kids, though...
Yeah.
Even if we just remove looks from it, don't you think men are going to make it, like if you're a 40-year-old guy who wants to have kids, don't you think he's more likely to try to pursue like a woman in her early 30s or late 20s when it comes to kids?
Maybe.
You can still have kids at 40, just to be clear. But the fertility, like it does start decreasing.
It does. I think it depends. I don't know. I don't know what men are thinking. I don't know if they look at me and think, oh, she probably can't have kids. I don't know if they're making that assumption. I never heard that before.
I don't think
because they're not going to tell you. That's why you never heard it before. They're not going to tell you. They want to F you. They're not going to just throw their game out because they wanted to be honest with you. They already know what works. You are just, at this point, you're just not to be taken serious. And they know how to move around.
Yeah, so I don't really know.
Well, they're not going to assume things that way.
Right.
So this is not it's not a thing which we're mentally going through. The idea is just, when you're talking about attraction, youthful features are obviously going to be more attractive because it's correlated with fertility. that's exactly why you would understand attraction to be the way it was. Obviously, from even an evolutionary standpoint, we wouldn't be attracted to things that we didn't want to reproduce with, right? That wouldn't make any sense. So if men are looking at younger women as being more attractive, likely it's tied into fertility, right? That makes sense.
That might
We're
be.
not like cognitively doing it. In other words,
Yeah, like it's like
cognitively
it's like a it's not a conscious thing.
right.
It's just kind of like, yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, just because you're 22 doesn't necessarily mean you're automatically hot. Not everyone's good
See,
looking.
but that's your opinion. We don't care about your opinion. This is the argument. Hang on. This is what Kevin Samuels was very good at this. When they will come with some argument like this, he will just throw back. But it's not what you guys care. It's what we care. We're the buyer. You guys are the seller. We're the one to buy the product, not you. See, that's how you close the argument.
you can be an ugly 22-year-old man or woman.
But we would make the concession here that that is indeed true.
Right.
That not
That's
every
what I mean.
22-year-old is hot.
Right.
But can you make the concession that there's a hell of a lot more hot 22-year-olds than there are 42-year-olds?
Probably.
Yeah, then we're not even arguing anything at this point, right? You're just essentially saying that
That's
youthful
it.
fertility
End of the argument.
is attractive to men.
Have you
guess.
frozen your eggs?
No.
No.
All right, guys.
There's a theory which is out there because you and I were just discussing younger women versus older women, and you said, not necessarily do I think that men would be going after the younger woman over the older woman. Prominent theory which is out there is that women who are single and who are in their late 30s or early 40s often say this because they're trying to root out competition by shaming men, by saying
That's all what it is too. The fat movement was a movement to make sure they can disqualify the competition out of the pool. That's why a lot of these females, they go with these kind of movement. In reality, is to disqualify their competition. The divorce females like to just give each other bad advice in order for them to compete and be in a better position.
men shouldn't be attracted to women who are younger than they are, especially by a significant age gap, because they actually want to secure those men for themselves. Would you say that there's any merit to that?
I mean, I'm definitely not shaming men. I mean, I'm always younger than someone. There's like 50-year-olds that are sometimes interested, so you're always younger than someone. I'm not shaming men for liking younger women at all.
That's not the question.
But I mean, you don't see a problem with that, right? Like
With what?
If there was a 22-year-old woman who was dating, let's say, a 44-year-old man, you don't see that big problem, right?
So I don't. The age gaps.
Here we go.
The age
Yeah.
Gave me the ick face.
Yeah, wait, let me explain.
Gave me the ick face. I got a feeling you're gonna have a problem with it. Go ahead.
No. I don't have a problem with age gap relationships. I just think like women 25, 24, I would say 24 and under. I think it's a little creepy when men in their 40s are going for like a 20-year-old. I think that.
What about men in their 30s?
So hang on.
30s?
What you just said was. Hang on.
30s
What you
is a
just
little
did
better.
was you did shaming of men.
Huh?
So what you literally just contradicted yourself because you're shaming men. You're saying if men go after women who are, let's say they're 44, they go after a woman who's 24, right?
Yeah.
That's within your criteria. Mm-hmm. They're 20 years younger. You are now shaming those men. You say
'Cause that's
creepy.
extreme.
Listen to the word. Hang on. Here's the verb. It's creepy, right? Why shouldn't we assume that the reason that you think that is because if men who are in that age bracket who would be a prime target for you, you're just super jealous that they're going for the 24-year-old? Why shouldn't that be assumed?
No, definitely not jealous. I think that women that young.
And what makes it creepy?
Because I think women that young are very vulnerable and naive. They don't know how to look for red flags. They don't know how to discern.
This is a projection argument. She's projecting herself to the argument, guys, by saying that you're naive. They don't know that. They don't know that unless you went through certain experience. She's projecting right now.
And I think they're very prone and vulnerable to being taken advantage of, especially by an older man. And I've seen it before.
Hang on, at one point at a time. My counter to your first point is that I don't think 40-year-old women do any better. I don't think 40-year-old single women do any better when it comes to singling out red flags and this. Or they wouldn't
Good
be
argument.
to begin with.
Good argument.
No, yes.
It's because it's a subjective argument. Great argument.
I'm much better at discerning red flags now than I was when
So why you haven't locked in a guy? When is this experience gonna kick in? You're still more mature than when you were 20 years old, and you still haven't locked in a guy. When it's gonna happen?
It's younger, that's
Then
for
why
sure.
would the 24-year-old be able to secure a man and secure his assets when the 40-year-old single woman has not been able to? If they're
There
so
we go.
great at figuring out what's a red flag and what isn't.
How do you know there's a 24-year-old that secured a 40-something-year-old man? Like, what?
Because it's entailed in the hypothetical. Single 40-year-old women upset because 40-year-old man going out with 24-year-old woman. This means 24-year-old woman has secured man. You say, no, I just think it's creepy because she can't make the decisions on red flags. But it's like, but then why would you be single at 40 if you could?
Because
Well,
there's
yeah.
not enough men that are mentally mature enough, and I haven't found a man that
So
doesn't
it's the
have
men's
any.
fault, guys. We're dumb. See, we're dumb. That's what it is. It's the men's fault. What about the men though kind of argument? So we are basically dumb people. We don't understand arguments. We don't understand how to drive to the world. Even though we are very good at resources. We're so dumb. We are very dumb.
Any sort of toxicity or
If they're
emotional
not mentally
immaturity.
mature enough, then
Yeah.
shouldn't they be with younger, more immature women?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But not 44-year-olds.
Well, wait, what? That makes no sense. Well,
Shaming,
that
they're
makes
shaming
no
men.
sense.
That's
Like,
what it is. That they're trying to shame men for their own preferences.
if they're not mature enough to be with a woman of your caliber at 40, then why wouldn't they be with somebody who was more mentally on their level? Who
I
was,
think-
younger.
I don't think, I'm not saying like the 44-year-olds emotionally necessarily mature. I just think they have more awareness, and they're aware of the fact that they're easier to control a younger woman, easier to manipulate her. She probably doesn't have really any self-respect or standards, and she's just more vulnerable to being taken advantage of. That's all I'm saying.
So you would advise those younger women not to go out with those older men?
I would
right?
tell them to be careful. Yeah,
Yeah,
just be
so
careful.
then what that does is, of course, it opens the pool up for more of those men in that age bracket for you. It still sounds like jealousy, but
Definitely
also,
not.
But there's a second component to it as
I don't-
well, which is, why is it that a man would not prefer to have a woman that didn't have a 40-year-old single woman's baggage?
What baggage do I have? I'm never married. I don't have any kids, no divorces.
I'm not talking about you specifically. We're talking about a hypothetical 40-year-old woman, not you.
That's what they do. They personalize the arguments.
Why would
So
why
you
would a
agree
40-something-year-old
with me
want?
that
You're
the
saying
older
why?
you get, well, here, I'll explain.
Yeah.
You agree with me, the older you get, the more baggage you end up with, right?
Typically,
Typically, right? So then
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
why would it not stand to reason that if a man could secure a young, very fertile woman, and she didn't have a lot of baggage, that would be preferable to an older woman who was not as fertile and had a lot of it?
yeah. I mean, if it's your preference, if you want someone who doesn't have kids, then find someone that doesn't have kids. I mean, I don't disagree with that. I just think the age gap of like 20 years is pushing it on any end. Like a 60-year-old with a 40-year-old, like me with a
With a what?
60-year-old, I think that's pushing it.
But I thought the 40-year-old knew how to identify all the red flags.
They do. I just think it's
Then what would be
extremely.
the problem with her getting a 60-year-old? If clearly there couldn't be very many red flags.
What do you have?
Yeah, good. I mean, it was getting very good. He confronted by his wife. Oh my god, that's just pretty thing. Still alive, dropping some content, man. This is a crazy argument, especially with females are in their late 30s. You will see how the argument of you not wanting a old woman, you're wrong, or you're delusional, or you are PDF file. Thankfully, we have people like Andre that can just tackle these things right on. Because a lot of these, I found it that men know that a lot of these arguments are stupid, but we don't know how to really confront them. And I don't know. Andrew's very good at this. He's really making a huge sacrifice, by the way, because going against the feminism movement is not easy, guys. It's not easy. Not easy. But let me know what you guys think. I'll see you next one.